Beneath the sands of Saqqara, just south of Cairo, lies one of the strangest and most mysterious sites in all of ancient Egypt. Hidden underground, through long, dark tunnels carved into the bedrock, rest enormous granite sarcophagi, some weighing more than 70 tons each. Their surfaces are so smooth, so precise, that even today engineers struggle to explain how they were made with the tools available thousands of years ago. This is the Serapeum of Saqqara. For centuries it lay forgotten, buried beneath drifting sand. When it was rediscovered in the 19th century, explorers could hardly believe their eyes. What were these giant boxes doing here? How were they moved into place? And perhaps the biggest mystery of all, why were they built? The Serapeum is not as famous as the pyramids of Giza, but in many ways it is even stranger. It challenges our understanding of ancient engineering, raises questions about Egypt's religious practices, and has become a lightning rod for alternative theories about lost civilizations. The story begins more than 2,000 years ago, during Egypt's New Kingdom. By this time, the Grand Pyramid age was already long over. The kings of Egypt no longer built monuments on the scale of Giza. Instead, they were buried in rock-cut tombs in the Valley of the Kings. But Saqqara remained sacred ground, the great necropolis of Memphis, Egypt's ancient capital. Here, in the 18th dynasty, a new tradition began. The worship and burial of sacred bulls. These were no ordinary animals. They were the Apis bulls, believed to be living incarnations of the god Ptah, one of the most important deities in Egypt. Whenever a new Apis bull was identified, it was treated as divine, worshipped during its lifetime, and upon death mummified and entombed with elaborate rituals. To the Egyptians, these bulls were more than animals. They were vessels of divine power, intermediaries between humanity and the gods. Over time, the burials of the Apis bulls grew more elaborate. At first, they were buried individually in modest tombs, but eventually the tradition evolved into something monumental. A vast underground gallery, lined with chambers, each containing a massive sarcophagus of stone. This is the Serapeum of Saqqara. But for all its importance in antiquity, the Serapeum disappeared from memory. By the Roman period, it was already neglected. Over the centuries, sand covered the entrances, and its location was lost. It wasn't until 1850 that a French archaeologist named Auguste Mariette rediscovered it. Mariette had been sent to Egypt by the Louvre to collect ancient manuscripts, but he quickly became fascinated with the ruins of Saqqara. Following the trail of ancient texts, he began exploring the desert plateau. After days of digging, he uncovered a sphinx-lined avenue leading to a buried passage. Digging deeper, he entered a series of tunnels cut deep into the bedrock. What he found astonished him. Along the tunnels, inside chambers, lay enormous stone sarcophagi, each big enough to hold not just a man, but a small room. Some were granite, others basalt. Their lids alone weighed more than the largest blocks of the Great Pyramid. The craftsmanship was extraordinary. Flat, polished surfaces, sharp interior corners, tight-fitting lids. To Mariette, it was clear these were no ordinary tombs. In total, he uncovered more than 24 of these giant boxes, arranged in long galleries. Many were empty, their lids pushed aside. Some contained fragments of bones, but not nearly enough to account for their size. Why were they built so large? How were they moved into place, deep underground? Even with modern cranes and drills, it would be a challenge. For the Egyptians, supposedly armed only with copper and bronze tools, the feat seems almost impossible. Mainstream Egyptology explains the Serapeum as the burial place of the Apis bulls. Each sarcophagus, according to this view, held the remains of a sacred animal. Inscriptions and stelae found near the site do mention Apis burials, and Greek historians like Strabo and Diodorus wrote about the cult. The Serapeum, they argue, was simply the grand resting place of these divine creatures. But not everyone is convinced. For one thing, most of the sarcophagi are empty. The few that contain remains hold only small fragments, hardly the preserved mummified bulls we might expect. Some suggest the tombs were looted in antiquity, but even so, the sheer size of the sarcophagi seems excessive. Why build boxes weighing 70 tons to house a single animal? Then there is the question of construction. The sarcophagi are made of hard granite, quarried from Aswan hundreds of miles away. Transporting such massive blocks to Saqqara, carving them with such precision, and then lowering them into underground chambers is a puzzle that defies easy answers. Some argue that ramps and sledges could explain it, but the logistics are staggering. To many alternative theorists, the Serapeum is evidence of lost technology, tools or techniques that the Egyptians either inherited or developed and later lost. They point to the machine-like finish of the stone, the perfectly square interiors, and the polished surfaces that reflect light like mirrors. Could copper chisels and pounding stones really achieve this? Or was there something more advanced at work? The mystery deepens when you consider the religious significance. The Apis bull was not just an animal, it was linked to Osiris, the god of the underworld. In later times, the cult of Serapis, a fusion of Greek and Egyptian beliefs, grew out of this tradition. Some have speculated that the Serapeum might have been more than just a tomb. Perhaps it was part of a larger ritual complex, a place where life, death, and rebirth were symbolically enacted. Walking through the Serapeum today, the sense of mystery is palpable. The tunnels stretch into darkness, lit only by spotlights on the hulking sarcophagi. The air is heavy, the walls rough, the silence broken only by footsteps. Stand before one of the great boxes, and you cannot help but feel awe. Their size, their precision, their very presence raises questions that no easy answer can satisfy. Some researchers have measured the accuracy of the sarcophagi, finding right angles and flatness to within fractions of a millimeter. Such precision is remarkable even by modern standards. To skeptics, this is overstated. The boxes are indeed precise, but not impossibly so. Still, the debate rages. Does the Serapeum represent the pinnacle of Egyptian craftsmanship, or something more mysterious? The site also raises questions about continuity. Why, in the first millennium BC, long after the Pyramid Age, did the Egyptians undertake such massive stonework again? Was the Serapeum a deliberate attempt to link back to the grandeur of the Old Kingdom? Or does it represent a different tradition entirely, one more concerned with the underworld than the heavens? Even today, archaeologists continue to study the Serapeum. New excavations have revealed side chambers, stelae with inscriptions, and evidence of rituals. Yet the central mysteries remain. The boxes are still empty, their purpose debated, their construction methods uncertain. For those who favor conventional explanations, the Serapeum is simply an extravagant tomb, reflecting the Egyptians' devotion to their sacred bulls. For others, it is a riddle in stone, pointing to knowledge we no longer possess. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. The Egyptians were masters of stone, capable of feats we often underestimate. At the same time, the scale and precision of the Serapeum force us to acknowledge that there is still much we do not understand about how they worked, what they believed, and why they built in the ways they did. What is clear is that the Serapeum is one of the great enigmas of ancient Egypt. Less famous than the pyramids, but no less fascinating. Hidden underground, it speaks of power, devotion, and mystery. It invites us to look deeper, to question more, and to marvel at the ingenuity of the past. And perhaps that is its greatest gift. The Serapeum reminds us that history is not just a record of what we know, but a journey into the unknown. A reminder that beneath the sands, there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this dive into one of Egypt's strangest mysteries, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care.